What do you think of when you think of cactus? Maybe you think of decorations or psychedelic experiences. Do you think of food or luxury goods? You might not, but the Nopal cactus, or prickly pear, emerged as a staple crop in many nations, and, due to its unique ecology, has conquered the world.
This rugged land produces a rugged ecosystem. To protect themselves from predators and the baking rays of the sun, some plants have developed spines to pierce and shade. Still, they become the food of many. Existing in this harsh landscape, along with seeing the colorful fruit and fleshy cladodes both full of water, entice many animals into chowing down. Humanity is no exception. Just take a look at the plant Opuntia, otherwise known as prickly pear or nopal. The nopal is both a staple crop and incredibly economically important in Mexico. It is estimated to be as important as either corn or tequila from agave. Of all the nopal produced in the world, Mexico by far grows the most, with 70% coming from Mexican farms. The next highest producer is Italy with 3.3%, and although Mexico is Cactus HQ, containing an amazing diversity of cacti, it is by no means the only place Nepal can grow. The cactus is farmed on every continent aside from Antarctica and can be effectively farmed as far north as southern Canada. The story of this cactus is a dramatic one and is specifically tied to the history of the region known today as Mexico, even earning a place on the flag of the nation. An archaeological study done in the Tehuacan Valley of central Mexico uncovered that people of this region were eating all parts of the Opuntia cactus 12,000 years ago. And it is estimated that this region of the world was only first inhabited 2,000 years earlier than these findings. The Tehuacan Valley is also where the oldest evidence of plant domestication is found in the Western Hemisphere. It is not hard to imagine that the Opuntia was among these anciently propagated plants. People first ventured into the Americas through a frozen Bering Strait entering modern Alaska. As a result, groups of people moved down the vertical length of the Western Hemisphere, with the most recent human settlements being in the southern portion. And anyone attempting to get to the fertile valleys of central Mexico must first navigate their way through the hot and arid regions of the Mojave, Chihuahuan, and Sonoran deserts. In a stretch of land so destitute of water and biomass, it seems that these people would be forced to see through the sharp spines and potentially psychoactive effects of cacti and look at them with hungry eyes. One of these groups may have been the Mexica, based partially on the fact that the Aztecs, whom the Mexica people would later become, wrote about it. They created a semi-mythical history claiming to be from a land far to the north called Aztlan. The word Aztec, in fact, means the people from Aztlan. This is supported by evidence produced by archaeologists and linguists. The Nahuatl language that the Mexica spoke and the pottery found in the cities of Aztec antiquity indicate that they were a people from the Sonoran Desert. It is unclear why the Aztec were compelled to leave their homeland. It is speculated that they were driven out and unwelcome anywhere in the region because of their practice of ritual human sacrifice. Regardless, the Mexica wandered and searched for a new place to settle. It is a widely known legend that the priests of the Mexica people were shown a vision of them founding a great civilization on the spot where they found an eagle on a cactus eating a snake. Supposedly, around the year 1300 AD, an eagle with a snake perched on the nopal cactus was spotted on an island off the coast of Lake Texcoco. This island became the Aztec city of Tenochtitlan, which in the Nahuatl language means place of stony prickly pears. The nopal would have been a common staple of the average home garden in the city of Tenochtitlan, now the capital of the Aztec world. The fruits called tunas are sweet and tangy and were eaten raw, made into jams, or used as a substitute for tomatoes. The cladodes or pads of the cactus were commonly used as fodder or for livestock, but also as a nutritional vegetable. In the palaces of the elite, the nopal had a much different significance. The opuntia became incredibly important to the people of Central America due to a dye that it could be used to produce. When the people cultivating the nopal found their crop infested with insects, they were probably disgusted and disappointed. Maybe they swatted and crushed one of the bugs trying to eat their food. If this happened, they would have seen the bright color red. These bugs are called cochineal. They feed on the cactus and produce a chemical called carmic acid with the intention of deterring predators from eating it, but unintendedly end up looking really cool to humans when crushed into a powder. So naturally, people started cultivating this specifically for the cochineal. Cochineal farmers would build shelter for the bugs called zapotic nests, which they would pin to the pads of the opuntia cactus. To collect the cochineal, the farmers would have to brush the insects off the pads, making it a somewhat labor-intensive process. When collected, the cochineal was often packed into cakes mixed with clay and flour. This made it much easier to transport across the empire. And that was important if you were paying tribute to the god kings of Tenochtitlan. The red dye that could be created with the cochineal was highly valued among the elite of the Aztec, and a product that they demanded their vassals gift them. There's a Mexican codex written by the conquistadors called the Tribute List. It describes a scene in which the Aztecs are receiving an annual gift from the Mixtec people of modern-day Oaxaca, 40 sacks of cochineal, which the Spanish estimated to be about 125 pounds. The Spanish noticed that this dye was far superior to any of the red dyes known to exist in the Old World. They also saw the amazing wealth they could create for themselves by obtaining this dye. After the Spanish had conquered nearly half of the Western Hemisphere, they used the nopal and the cochineal insect that lives on it to create a monopoly on high-quality red dye by banning the export of the insect and closely guarding the plantations. At a time when the Spanish Empire was arguably the most wealthy and powerful state in the world, cochineal dye was their second most profitable export, only behind silver. The plant, however, was soon brought back to the Old World and was being propagated in the southern Spanish province of Andalusia. The nopal quickly became ubiquitous along the Mediterranean, especially in northern Africa and Sicily. So much so that some botanical journals at the time falsely claimed the opuntia cactus to be native to Europe. The monopoly on the cochineal dye wasn't broken until 1777, when Thierry de Monteville, a botanist on a secret mission from the French crown, slipped past Spanish authorities under the guise that he was searching for novel plants capable of curing gout. Instead, he managed to purchase the insect from indigenous Mexicans and propagate them in the French colony of Saint-Domingue on the island of Hispaniola. The British Empire also decided to get in on the fun and tried to establish their own cochineal industry in Australia. They had been using the dye to create their signature military attire, for which they were called redcoats. They were successful in propagating the cactus in the sense that the nopal became incredibly invasive on the Australian continent. It was estimated that the land covered by the nopal in Australia was growing by 2.4 million acres a year, and by the 1920s covered upwards of 60 million acres, an area larger than the US state of Oregon. The cactus was becoming such a problem that it began threatening productive farmland. Action was taken to curb the invasion of Nopal through chemical warfare, but was unsuccessful. Eventually, the risky strategy of bringing in predators to the Nopal was decided upon. The moth Cactoblastus cactorum was imported to Australia and nearly wiped out the entire population of Nopal. This event is regarded as one of the few successful implementations of biological pest control. However, it must be noted that while the release of Cactoblastus cactorum in Australia was intentional, the moth has spread unintentionally to the southeastern United States and is moving westward in a way that could threaten the farms and wild populations of Nopal in Mexico.
If this can be avoided, I expect the nopal to not only remain a staple of Mexican cuisine, but to re-emerge on the world stage because of its ability to provide healthy and scrumptious food with little resources and in inhospitable conditions. Also, the opuntia cactus seems to be a promising source for new medicines and even a form of vegan leather. If you see the nopal in the grocery store or in the wild, take a pad or a fruit and taste its wonder for yourself.